Good morning, everyone. Buenos días. I would like to start by telling you a little bit about myself. My name is Mariela Regalado, and I was born in the Dominican Republic. I was raised in the Marcy Projects. In Bedford-Stuyvesant, Brooklyn. When I was growing up, my mother always dreamed that all three of her children would go to college. But she didn't know how to help us get there. She couldn't communicate with my teachers, didn't know how to help us find the right school, fill out applications, financial aid, or scholarships. In fact, growing up in Bed-Stuy, there wasn't really an example of anyone being college-bound. But I remember waking up every day, excited for school and hungry for information. I remember my role models, my teachers, including my current superintendent, Winnicki, who is actually my teacher in junior high school. They showed me that becoming an educator means that you get to change student lives every day. Currently, I wake up each morning just as excited, equipped with a purpose, because I decided to work with students who are just like myself, in the same neighborhood I grew up in. I see myself in the faces of each student I am so lucky to work with. I was the first in my family to receive a college diploma. And now, I am back in my neighborhood working as a full-time college counselor at the Juan Morrow Campos Secondary School in Brooklyn. I know firsthand what my students and their families need in order to achieve their American dream of going to college and breaking the cycle of poverty. I am fortunate to work for the Young Women's Leadership Network's College Bond Initiative program, or as we affectionately call it, CBI. CBI is funded through public and private partnerships and places full-time, highly trained college counselors in New York City public schools. In fact, we're standing in a CBI partnership school today. We help with the college selection process, we set up tours, prep for interviews, help our students prepare for the SATs, fill out applications, and construct essays. I always tell my students, it's okay to make mistakes, but it's also okay to ask for help, but avoid using excuses. I tell them my personal story and remind them that it is possible. Every single person can achieve their dreams. I am committed to helping my students create a new legacy and raise a new standard of education into their lives. I use success stories as motivation and inspiration. Some of my students, like Joy Lenny, who despite having cerebral palsy, graduated as valedictorian and attends NYU. Students like Oscar, who moved here, did not know one word in English, yet persevered, graduated at the top of his class, and is attending St. Lawrence University, both with full scholarships. College is important. College should be the goal, the plan for our students, not just a pipe dream. We should make sure there is a path to college for all of our students. Having an opportunity to attend an institution of higher learning is critical, and I believe that together we can make this a reality. I am so lucky I can make my parents and my community proud, and I am blessed to give back to my students who, like me, will likely be the first in their family to attend college. I believe deeply, like our mayor, that every student, regardless of their zip code, their ethnicity, or the neighborhood in which they live, have an opportunity for a brighter future. Mayor de Blasio's plan to redefine how we approach our children's education will provide our educators and parents the tools and resources we need to ensure their academic success. Together, we will raise the bar, invest in our students, and make sure that each one of them will be prepared to succeed in college and beyond. I am proud to introduce him, ladies and gentlemen, the mayor of this great city, Mr. Bill de Blasio.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Welcome. Welcome. Please, please. First of all, let's talk about Mariela. Isn't that an amazing young woman? Mariella turned 26 yesterday. Let's all wish her a happy birthday. At 26, she has so much to be proud of. So much. She strove for what seemed unimaginable, and she succeeded. And there is perhaps no more noble way that Mariella can use her gifts and share her success than by helping today's children find that success themselves. She literally embodies what we want for all our children. So let's thank her for the tremendous work that she is doing every day. And speaking of great success, it is an honor to be here at Bronx Latin. I want to thank Principal Annette Fiorentino of Bronx Latin, and the principals at the two other schools that share this building, Principal Julia Bailey of Bronx Career and College Prep, and Principal Richard Burke of the Dr. Richard Izquierdo Health and Science Charter School. Let's give them all a round of applause. We have so many partners in this work. I want to thank the elected leaders here today with us. Council Speaker Melissa Mark Viverito, Public Advocate Letitia James, Comptroller Scott Stringer, Assembly Education Chair Kathy Nolan, Senate Education Chair Carl Marcelino, and Council Education Chair Danny Drum. And to thank you to all the borough presidents, district attorneys, members of Congress, the state legislature, the city council members, everyone who's joined in common cause to help our children. And if there's one thank you we all should give every day, we should say thank God for our Chancellor, Carmen Farina. Carmen will be the first to deflect the praise and say it's her team and her teachers and her principals and all the other people that make up the school system. But ladies and gentlemen, a great leader goes a long way. And Carmen Farina is that great leader who has the faith of the men and women who work for her. Now, I always say, for me, part of why I'm able to appreciate the work of our educators, part of why I feel the challenges and hopes of our parents, and I think that each and every one of our children is a child to embrace and support, well, that's because I got to travel the path of parenthood. I must say, as a factual matter and a more spiritual matter, the reason I was able to do that is because of Charlene McCray. I met the love of my life. We decided we should have a family. And I tell the story because it's absolutely true. We had Kiara December 6, 1994, at Methodist Hospital in Brooklyn. And as we were preparing to leave the hospital, the staff was very, very rigorous on one particular topic. They really wanted to know if we had a car seat to take Kiara home. They didn't say to us, do you know how to educate your child? Do you know how to feed your child? I mean, they were good people, don't get me wrong, but the law was about having a car seat. Now, we did have a car seat, I'm proud to announce. We bundled Kiara into the car seat. It was December. We put a lot of clothing around her. We brought her home. We walked into our apartment on 12th Street in Park Slope. We literally, still in the car seat, we put Kiara down very gently on our couch, and Charlene looked at each other, and literally this was one of those moments where we thought and we said to each other, what do we do now? And from that moment on, we traveled a path that so many travel every day, of working with all we had in us to figure out how to do right by our child. And it went the same way with Dante, and literally to this minute, the first concern we have is our children. And that's true for millions of New Yorkers. So I want that spirit to be clear today as we talk about the changes we're going to make. But I also want to say a particular thank you to the woman who gave me that opportunity and who serves our city so well as our First Lady, Charlene McCray. Thank you. Now, we're happy to be here at Bronx Latin because the kids and educators here exemplify what we want to see all over this city and what we are going to see at schools all over this city. Bronx Latin, looks like a lot of our schools. 92% of the students here live in poverty. But a lot of love and support is here in this building, and a love of learning permeates every corner of this place. Students excel in so much, from English to biology to history. 89% of them graduate in 4 years. Bronx Latin students are showing us the future of New York City education, because what's happening at Bronx Latin can happen at any school in our city, and it will. The nearly 600 students who strode through the doors here last Wednesday are among the more than 1.1 million public school children who gathered their notebooks, zipped up their school bags, put another New York City summer behind them. I know I felt that tidal wave of emotion wash over the whole city. It always does on the first day of school. There was so much joy and excitement and also trepidation, flooding our sidewalks, our school hallways, the cars, the trains, the buses, everything that was happening that day. You could feel the energy of the day. And you could feel it in neighborhoods from the South Bronx to the South Shore of Staten Island. Shirley and I know those emotions very, very well. Actually, this is the first September in 17 years that we haven't been among the public school parents waving goodbye at the school entrance, swallowing an ocean of feelings as Dante or Chiara walk through the doors into another school year. In fact, we just sent young Dante de Blasio off to college. And what a mix of feelings that was. He was polite as he dismissed us and told us it was time to leave, I will say that much. He learned that politeness in New York City public schools. Every family sends their children off to school that first day expecting great things. It's a day of great hope and possibility. They want their children to learn and to grow. They want them to be safe. They want them to make new friends. They want them to do well in school. Obviously, eventually, they look forward to them graduating and having a bright future. Just as every parent wants success for their own children, we want it for all of New York City's children. So our schools must prepare every single student to achieve their highest potential. In other words, schools must run on the twin engines of equity and excellence. So let's take stock of where we are right now. And we, in fact, have a lot to be proud of and a lot to build on. The National Assessment of Educational Progress, or NAEP, the nation's gold standard for measuring what America's students know and can do, tells us just how extraordinary our students are. In 2013, students in 7 of the 10 largest cities in America took NAEP exams. Only San Diego, a district roughly 1/10 the size of New York City, scored higher than us in English and math. And of this group of cities, our lower income students demonstrated the highest proficiency in reading of any city in the country and the second highest proficiency in math. So something's happening already that gives us a great foundation to build upon. The roots of that achievement grow right here at Bronx Latin, where all 571 students are offered a chance, listen to this, all of them offered a chance to attend Saturday academies throughout the year. Principal Fiorentino says that typically about 300 students show up on any given Saturday morning. 300 students coming to do SAT prep and Regents prep. Now, for those of us who have ever lived with a child, you know how hard it is to get a single child out of bed on a Saturday morning. 300 is a stunning achievement, and it says that so much is possible when you have the right plan. The roots of our achievement as a city grow in places like Washington Heights Expeditionary Learning School, better known by its acronym WHEELS. One afternoon a few years ago, I had the privilege to walk to the local post office in Washington Heights with the senior class of WHEELS, with their families and with members of the broader community. This was no ordinary day. It was a thrilling moment, a procession through the community to celebrate and honor the mailing off of each student's college applications, a triumphant moment for the entire community. Think of how those kids felt that day. And the roots of this achievement grow in places like PS 69 in the heart of Soundview here in the Bronx. Last year, Chancellor Farina and I visited PS 69, where Principal Sheila Durant invites parents into the school to work on homework with their children and the teachers, right in the school together. Families can see firsthand what their kids are learning and learn themselves how to help their kids succeed. To fully appreciate these accomplishments, we must take a moment to see how far we've come and to recognize some of the achievements of our predecessors. The Bloomberg administration deserves great credit for winning the fight for mayoral control of schools, a fight that stretched all the way back to the Beam administration in the 1970s. My predecessors fought for mayoral control because it's just common sense. Instead of having an appointed school board in charge, accountable to no one, the mayor has the power to drive change in the system and is held responsible by all our families. That is called democracy, my friends. One person in charge, elected by the people, held responsible by the people. I can tell you that none of the big changes we have made in our schools and none of the changes we're going to make would be possible without mayoral control. That's why leaders of every political persuasion have supported mayoral control. Mayor Beam, Mayor Koch, and Mayor Dinkins all believed in it. Recently, even Mayor Giuliani weighed in his words, saying that mayoral control is, quote, absolutely essential for the future progress and development of New York City schools. Something we can all agree on. The numbers bear this out. The facts bear it out. Graduation rates have risen since mayoral control began in 2002, paving the way for the record-breaking graduating class of 2014. Now listen to this, more than 51,000 students graduated in 2014, reflecting the highest graduation rate in this city's history, in our history. And that's 50% more students graduating than a decade ago. The class of 2014 also had the fewest dropouts of any class since New York State started keeping records. Something big is happening, and it happened in large measure because of the virtues of mayoral control. Now, it's no surprise that this kind of academic success goes hand in hand with another deeply important kind of success. Most New York City parents feel good about their children's schools. In our survey of nearly 500,000 public school parents, the overwhelming majority told us that they like their schools, they believe in them, and they believe the teachers are doing great work with their children. The city has been, for generations, blessed with smart, hardworking, dedicated, and determined children and parents and educators. And over the years, they have written success stories that transformed lives, that lifted up communities, that made their mark on the city, the state, the country, the world. But there simply have not been enough of those success stories. And we want many, many more. There is a tale of two cities in our schools, and we simply don't accept it. Each and every child in each and every classroom deserves a future that isn't limited by their zip code. We want equity for all. We must equip children with the skills they need for success, and that will look different for everyone. Any given senior class might have a student laser-focused on college, another heading to learn a trade, and another who plans to launch right into a career in art or music. The choice is theirs, but the responsibility to give them choices by instilling in them the right knowledge and skills and priming them to be lifelong learners, that responsibility is ours. And that is what America itself is all about. The American dream, the idea that any of us can be anything we want to be, is entrenched in our moral DNA. We've inherited a belief so strong it's almost biological, that this land's riches derive from the success of its people. And that success is available to anyone who puts in the time and the sweat to earn it. Public education is, and always has been, the key to this dream. And that is why we reject a status quo that puts the dream out of reach for too many. A status quo that I would say is bluntly un-American and unfaithful to the legacy and promise of New York City. Excellence and achievement cannot, should not, and will not discriminate in New York City. Let's face it, today our students are competing against others from across the globe and must master skills that my generation never had to. Our continued success as a 21st century city depends on getting this right. As we increase the number of student success stories, we have to make sure success is as common in East New York as it is on the Upper East Side. So, we know that not every single child will choose to go to college, and you'll hear a lot more from us in the next few months about how we'll be supporting our young people in many ways, including our career and technical education programs. But we believe every single child should have the chance to go to college, should have the groundwork, the framework, the foundation, if they make that choice. Education determines economic destiny now more than at any previous point in human history. That's not an overstatement. Education literally is the key today to a viable economic future. And nowhere is that clearer than when we look at the life of a young person who has earned a college degree. A college graduate earns $1.1 million more over the course of a lifetime than someone with only a high school diploma. And a college graduate in New York City is nearly 3 times less likely to struggle with poverty. So we've set 2 connected goals around equity and excellence to lift up more of our children and to meet the needs of a growing, thriving city. First, more of our students must graduate from high school. The graduation rate for most big American cities is in the 60% range. Some cities only graduate half their students. Here in New York City today, our graduation rate is 68.4%. And our students have to meet the highest standards in the entire nation, according to the National Center for Education Statistics. But 68.4% is simply not enough. So I'm saying to you now, we will reach a high school graduation rate of 80% over the next 10 years. 80% of our young people will graduate on time. Our second major goal is to make sure our high school graduates have the skills they need to make it to the next level. Right now, fewer than half of our graduates are academically ready for college. Now think about all those graduates who will decide not to go to college. Not because they don't want to or they don't have the talent, but because they know we didn't prepare them well enough. Or all those graduates who will go to college, but then drop out because they can't keep up with the work. Or those students who can only make it through college by taking remedial classes, forcing colleges to teach the skills our high schools should have, and making college more expensive for our young people. For these reasons, for too many families in this city, college is actually not a reality. And in a day and age when a college degree is the best ticket to a good job and the middle class and lifelong economic security, we absolutely cannot allow this status quo to continue. So we will increase the number of public high school graduates who are ready for college from fewer than half to at least 2/3 by 2026. And we will make sure those graduates are coming from every corner of this city. Excellence will not be apportioned out for the lucky few. Every single high school in New York City will graduate more college-ready students. We will require of every high school. Equity and excellence. Today, I'll describe our vision for how we get there. Over the past 20 months, we have made transformative investments in our public schools. For the first time in history, every 4-year-old has been offered free, full-day, high-quality pre-K. Nothing is more important for equity and excellence than establishing a strong foundation for a lifetime of learning. And for the first time in our history, every middle school student has access to a free, high-quality after-school program. I'm going to take a moment to drink to both of these achievements. This is only water, it's okay. It's a family program. This allows us to extend the school day for tens of thousands of students with additional learning opportunities. Our students' test scores are up for the second consecutive year and for the first full year on our watch. Change is underway for students and schools all over the city. But we have more work to do to bring our vision of equity and excellence to life. We must continue to work with educators, not against them. Now, we've redefined this relationship, premised on the deep respect we have for educators' experience and expertise and the hard work they do every day. I want to thank some of the leaders joining us here today for their support and their partnership. Michael Mulgrew, President of the United Federation of Teachers. Ernie Logan, President of the Council of School Supervisors and Administrators. And Henry Garrido, Executive Director of DC 37 AFSCME. Their leadership helps us to inspire talented educators all over the city. Teachers who want to stay in the profession. We want them to stay in the profession, and we want them to stay in our school system. That is so much of what we have to focus on. The great teachers we have, continuing to support them, continuing to develop them, continuing to make sure they stay in the profession and they stay right here where they belong. That's what we're committed to. So we've established more than 1,000 master, model, and other lead teacher positions to reward and retain our best teachers. And they're on the front lines of cultivating more expert educators for the future. Vast majority of educators are talented, passionate, and deeply dedicated to their students and their schools. There are, however, some teachers who have shown that they shouldn't be in the profession. From April 2014 to April 2015, we helped 660 educators find their way out of the New York City school system. This shows we are willing and able to make the change that's necessary. Where it's needed, we will replace school leadership or staff to transform a school if they cannot improve with our tailored and targeted support. It's just common sense. We are investing in deepening teacher skills through professional development at every grade level. And I always say this, you know your work is valued when you're invested in. You know your profession is meaningful when there's constant efforts to upgrade your skills. As a matter of both the ability of our teachers increasing at all times, but also the morale and the idea that our teachers know they will succeed with our students. Professional development does so much and sends such a powerful system that we value our teachers and we're investing in them. Our chancellor, who started as a rookie teacher 50 years ago, 50 years, ladies and gentlemen, now, This is the occasion to remind you that when I have known Carmen quite a while. When I announced her selection as chancellor, we were at MS 51, where Chiara and Dante went to middle school, and Carmen and I worked together when we were back in School Board 15. And in an unscripted moment, Carmen said very jauntily, 70 is the new 40. So I think Carmen's just getting started, ladies and gentlemen. Well, she speaks from experience. She's held just about every job there is to have in the New York City public schools. And she speaks with particular passion about the power of professional development. That's why it is such a part of all we do. She believes that the best way to improve teaching is to spread what works, connecting the whole education system so educators can lift each other up, with expert educators spreading best practices to fellow teachers and principals. We've done this among our district schools, and we will now reach farther. The Chancellor and I share the same feeling that every child is our child, and I mean that very personally. Every child is our child. Whether they attend a district school, a charter school, a private school, or a parochial school. Because ultimately, every student will be a part of our city's future. When they leave the schools, they will inherit this city. So we have to support them all. Now, parochial schools and charter schools have already been wonderful partners in our pre-K and after-school efforts. And we've been working closely with charter schools, exchanging ideas, and helping all our schools get better. Over the past 20 months, the Chancellor has crisscrossed the city, visiting charter schools, and every school she could find. I don't know, she's been drinking a lot of Red Bull, I think. And she shows no signs of slowing down in her constant tours. The Chancellor and I know that the two-way exchange between charter and district schools is essential and gets at the heart of why charters were created in the first place, to foster innovative ideas that could then be shared. And we know there are district schools, schools like Bronx Latin, Wheels, and PS 69, and many more across the city. They have a great deal to share as well. They have a lot of best practices that all schools could benefit from, including charter schools. Today, we take the next step to deepen our work with charters. We will take our successful model of spreading what works to partner district schools and charter schools based on common practices and areas of strength. And the city will provide the resources these schools need to best learn from each other. We'll start with partnerships focused on strengthening teaching for English language learners and on innovative math instruction. By 2017, there will be at least 25 partnerships bringing together at least 50 district and charter schools to work together on an enormous range of strategies to make sure all our schools serve our kids better. Our quest for the best and most innovative ways to educate our children led us to create something else. The prose schools, the 126 prose schools across this city and growing. In collaboration with our teachers, we've created these schools to be free of normal work rules. And educators are using this freedom to really think differently about teaching. We'll take the most successful elements of these efforts and bring them to other schools around the city. Of course, there's no single, special, magical ingredient that guarantees school success. But we do believe there are some key ingredients. In fact, we believe there are 6 elements that make what we call the framework for great schools. In looking at the 2013 evaluation, schools that were strong on all 6 of the elements I'll describe were also 6 times more likely to score above the city average on English, and more likely to score above the city average in math as well. So what are these 6 measures? Well, first, the framework captures the high standards that are the hallmark of our education system. Aiming high is absolutely the core of who we are. It's as New York as it can be to aim high. That's how New York got great. We will continue that in our generation. New York's commitment to Common Core means we literally have the highest standards in the country. And we're ensuring that our students can successfully learn advanced material by giving our educators the preparation and support they need to teach to Common Core standards. It doesn't work if you don't provide the support. You can't say, here's a higher standard, you have to magically achieve it. No, you can say, here's a higher standard, and we're going to give you all you need to reach that standard. That's how we dignify the idea of aiming high. The second part of the framework calls for teachers to work collaboratively with one another to share what works and to figure out what doesn't. Third, students and educators need to feel safe and supported in the school environment. Fourth, parents must feel welcome in every way, and there must be a strong and open line of communication between home and school. Fifth, school leaders need to have a strong vision while being open at the same time to feedback from teachers, families, and students. Sixth, and this in some ways is the underpinning of all of it, a sense of real trust must run throughout the school community. It's a community. It's not a corporation. It's a community. A school is a community. If we can create trust throughout that community, great, great things are possible. Teachers need to trust one another and school leaders. Parents and educators must build trust together. And every single student must feel deeply that all those around them are working to support their journey to graduation, to college, and to a career. They have to feel it. They have to know in their bones that everyone is there for them. That is equity and excellence. That's what it looks like. We're using our framework as the basis for supporting schools and evaluating them. We want parents to have the information they really need. That's why we've replaced something I think was a great mistake, the old school report cards and single-letter grades. We've replaced them because they misled families by oversimplifying what it means to be a strong school. Now, parents will have school quality snapshots right at their fingertips. Next month, we'll release updates to these snapshots that convey how a school is doing in the categories that matter most, using the elements of the framework that we know work, in addition to traditional measures of achievement like test scores. Now, it's important to say this. We believe, of course, that tests are important. But tests are an important thing, not the only important thing. Tests can tell you what you need to improve, but not how to get it done. To get it done takes something deeper and richer, and I would argue more human. Great teachers in constant communication with involved parents. That's what we aspire to. I want to say it one more time. Great teachers in constant communication with involved parents. That is what the New York City schools are going to be. Our commitment to children also demands that we address their needs outside the classroom. We believe in overcoming obstacles that stand in the way of coming to school ready and willing to learn. That's why we've launched our Community Schools Initiative. This month is a very important one for us. It marks the moment when every last one of the 130 schools we've targeted completes its transformation into a community school. Now, each one's different, but all community schools have a strategy to help their students succeed by working with community partners to tackle different kinds of needs. And this is a moment where I want to stop and thank someone who's put so much energy into the creation of the community schools and the extraordinary efforts we've made around pre-K and after school, our Deputy Mayor, Richard Bury. Let's give him a round of applause. Richard, you may not be 70, but you're very good. Now, all community schools, it's one of our favorite parts about the community schools, all community schools offer free vision exams and eyeglasses for free. So kids can actually see what's happening on the board. And they're very stylish eyeglasses, thanks to our partner, the homegrown New York City eyewear company, Warby Parker. Other community schools might have a food pantry, so hunger doesn't distract from learning. Others might have a physician's office on site, providing both physical health and, as the First Lady will tell us, mental health services as well. Still others might offer English classes for the family members, for the parents and the other family members. Now, you're clapping because that's a good thing to do for our city and our communities. But it's not the only good part about it that those adults will learn. Those adults will be given the skills they need to then help the children with their homework. It's a virtuous circle. Even when students are getting the support they need, both inside and outside the classroom, finding the path to college can remain an enormous challenge. You heard from Mariella how alone she felt on that path, especially for children like Mariella, who would be the first in their families to attend college. Now, we know what a difference a knowledgeable helping hand can make along that path. The same person, and this is crucial, the same individual who year after year can help set goals and overcome obstacles, the person who can offer moral support when you're down, help you choose the right high school, and remind you of when your financial aid forms are due, the person who knows you and cares about you, and who you know has your back. For many children, it's a parent or a sibling or a teacher or a guidance counselor who plays that role. But we know that far too many other children lack that helping hand in their life. Too many children lack the person who will stick with them the whole way through and help make the dream of college or career reality and knows how to help them navigate. So it's time for something new. Next year, every single 6th grader through 12th grader in 2 of our most underserved communities, the South Bronx's District 7 and Central Brooklyn's District 23, will have their first meeting with someone we call a single shepherd. The single shepherd will be someone we've never seen before in the city. Think of the single shepherd as a cross between a guidance counselor, a mentor, and a life coach. The shepherds will begin working with students in 6th grade and stay with that student and their family, one-on-one, for the next 6 years. They'll be able to develop truly strong relationships with the children and their families and provide access to the academic and social and emotional support students need to succeed. Shepherds will step in when things are tough and make sure all our students are progressing toward their academic goals, including English proficiency for our English language learners and individualized education plan goals for our students with disabilities. This is a kind of intense and dedicated support that students in many schools, public, private, parochial, and charter alike, often take for granted. But we know what it'll mean for those who really need it. It will be the gateway to the possibilities they never could have imagined. That is the definition of equity and excellence. Now, I've shared a lot with you about our vision, and I think it would be good at this moment to illustrate it a little bit and to make it come alive. So I'm going to take you through a day in the life of some of our students. Let's start first thing in the morning. It's 8:15, and here's a 4-year-old. And that 4-year-old is already learning. She's intently focused on building a tower of blocks, stacking carefully as her classmates play behind her, some singing with a teacher, some drawing early masterpieces, some gazing at beginner books. It's a lively place filled with the sounds and colors that awaken young children to the world. This is the critical moment where success begins. We fundamentally believe that all children must start their education earlier so that every student enters kindergarten ready to learn. We cannot get education right if we don't get it right from the beginning. So I'm very proud that last week we got it right for more than 65,000 of our kids. A full day, universal, high-quality pre-K. Let's put this in perspective. That is more than 3 times the number of full-day pre-K seats that were available to our parents just 2 years ago. A tripling of full-day, high-quality pre-K in this city. And our 65,000 plus kids in pre-K alone are more young people than in the entire school system of Boston, Massachusetts. At this moment, as we speak, block towers are rising all across our great city. Around the same time of day, across town, a second grader rides the bus to school with her mother, proudly showing off the book she's been reading in class, explaining what it's about and which character she played in the class read aloud yesterday. Her mom is, of course, filled with pride and smiles knowingly, because yesterday her child's teacher called her for a few minutes just to share that same good news on our second graders' reading progress. That's impossible to overemphasize the value of these kind of interactions. Parents are at the center of a child's journey to success. We as parents are the first and last teachers of our children. And parents must be partners in literally everything our schools do if we're going to succeed. In everything we do. That's why we knocked on the doors, and this is something that has not been done before in this city. That's why we knocked on the doors of 35,000 parents at our 94 renewal schools. 35,000 parents this summer to make sure the families knew what to expect in the year ahead, to get them ready. It's why we instituted an unprecedented 40 minutes of teacher time every week solely dedicated to connecting with parents. This is exactly the time during which the teacher in our story made her phone call to our little reader's mother. Now, our second grader's proud emergence as a reader is a momentous milestone in her life. Reading is the very basis of lifelong success. The research is in. Students who are not reading on grade level by the end of third grade are 4 times more likely to drop out of high school than proficient readers. We know where the opportunity is, and we know where the danger is. So investing in reading early, in second grade, gives teachers and students extra time to make sure that our kids have mastered reading. I know this is something the Chancellor feels so deeply. Second grade is the opportunity moment to prepare our children fully for third grade. Waiting till third grade may be too late for some, and it's a risk we are not willing to take. So we are making an unprecedented investment in our schools to make sure that every second grader receives the gift of reading. In 2017, every single student at the 472 elementary schools that need it most will have access to an expert reading specialist who will help struggling second graders. They'll help struggling second graders get on track and stay on track. The next year, 2018, all our elementary school students will have access to a reading specialist when they get it. That means within 6 years, at least 2/3 of our students will be able to read with fluency by the end of second grade. And our goal is to have all second graders reading with fluency by 2026. All our children reading in second grade, ready to meet that standard in third grade and have a life of learning for every year thereafter. Teachers will track students' progress through nationally recognized assessments and provide the right kind of additional support to those kids who need it. And we're not going to rest until this work is done, because we know it lays a foundation for everything that comes after. It'll change the trajectory of many of our children's lives, particularly those with disabilities and our English language learners. Another example of equity and excellence. Let's go back to the day in the life of our children. Let's imagine it's a few hours later, and an 8th grader is hunched over an algebra book in the library at noon. He's concentrating as hard as he can, and after weeks of work, he finally gets it, grasping that classic formula. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. It's a real eureka moment. 8th grade and all of middle school is when children acquire and hone so much of the knowledge that will make them critical thinkers who can perform the advanced work that higher education and the jobs of today's economy demand. One of the key skills is algebra. Students who successfully pass algebra by the end of 9th grade are more likely to graduate from high school and to go on successfully to college or a career. But many students don't pass algebra by the end of 9th grade because we simply haven't prepared them to succeed in this course. Today, we are proud to announce a transformation in math education in this city. The future for our kids is Algebra for All. I'm not sure the students of New York City are celebrating at this moment. But it's in the classic vein of someday you'll thank us. Beginning in 2016, we will expand the number of middle school algebra classes to give more of our students a head start. We will put in place the academic supports our kids need, including algebra-focused summer school and after-school programming. We will make sure every single student is ready to take algebra, can pass algebra, and then move on to more advanced high school math that will help open the doors to college. Another example of equity and excellence. Now, another key part of being ready for college, of course, comes when a student can really imagine themselves there. It's crucial to be able to say, this is for me. I truly believe I belong in college. And nothing's more powerful than stepping foot on a college campus early enough in life to spark the belief that you actually belong there. So, let's go back to our story. Perhaps down the hall from our 8th grader in her algebra book, there's another classmate, and the classmate is holding a piece of paper with the potential to change his life, a permission form to actually go visit a college next week. When he visits that college, he'll be the first in his family to see the inside of a college classroom. We want our kids to see all the potential in themselves. Walking through a campus, meeting professors and students who look like you, come from the neighborhood you come from. Here's a big plus, having lunch in the all-you-can-eat cafeteria. That's a selling point right there. I think I still owe NYU money for all the cheese omelets I ate. All this gives students a glimpse of what is possible. That simple spark can summon inspiration for our children, inspiration to do what it takes to get to that college campus, not as a visitor for just one day, but for 2 years or 4 years or even more. It will show them they truly belong there. So, today we are introducing College Access for All, inspiring entire families' dreams of college by giving every single student and their families the chance to visit a campus by the time he or she enters 9th grade. Now, we have some real partners and some real boosters in this room who believe in this and are going to help us achieve it. I want to acknowledge them and thank them. The leaders of some of our city's finest universities are here with us today. James Milliken, Chancellor of CUNY. The shy and retiring John Sexton, President of New York University. Joyce Brown, President of the Fashion Institute of Technology. And James Valentini, Dean of Columbia College. And we're grateful to all of them that you'll be welcoming our children to see their schools. You'll be welcoming them with open arms. Let's thank them for being partners in this great effort. Once our children can truly see for themselves, as the First Lady often instructs me, don't tell me, show me. They can see for themselves a college, when it's real, when it's achievable, something's changing. And we're going to make it real and achievable by equipping our high schools with the resources they need to create a truly college-ready culture. By 2018, every high school in every neighborhood in New York City will be able to create an individual college plan tailored to every single student. Because each student is different, each will need different support. Some will need advice choosing the right college, or writing essays, or getting and completing applications, or submitting their financial aid forms. Some might need help preparing for the SATs. Others might benefit from being paired with a college student who can serve as a mentor. And many families will participate in financial aid workshops so they can figure out how to afford college. All of these things will be provided to each student in our high schools who needs it. And there's a missing link that we all need to work on together. We all need to work forcefully, and I will work forcefully as well, to advocate for the passage of the New York State DREAM Act. So hardworking, talented young New Yorkers who happen to be undocumented have the greatest possible access to college. CUNY has been a leader in facilitating access to its institution for every kind of student, including undocumented students, and let's thank Chancellor Milliken for that. Let's return to the day in the life of our students. Let's imagine now it's 3:30, and a 10th grader in one of our renewal schools is absorbed in Maya Angelou's classic, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. Now it's 3:30, remember. This young woman is a recent immigrant, and she needs to pass the English Regents to graduate. So her school has given her and 15 other English language learners in the class an expanded learning period to focus on English, and a special curriculum to help them engage with the text. It's working. She's deep into the book. She's getting it. She's believing in herself. Expanded learning time is an extra hour of instruction every day, and a hallmark of our 94 renewal schools, where we're implementing sweeping reforms. We're less than a year in, but we're seeing results already. Renewal schools are beginning to rewrite futures all across this city. Attendance, a leading indicator of academic improvement, has gone up at 72 of the 94 renewal schools. The number of suspensions last year dropped dramatically from the prior year at these schools, and at a rate much faster than the rest of the city. Test scores in renewal schools overall were up in 2015. Teachers at renewal schools are more confident in the direction of their schools. Fully 2/3 say they wouldn't want to work anywhere else. Think about that for a moment. 94 schools that have been recognized as having some of the biggest challenges, that went years without the investment that they deserved. And here are teachers saying, I want to be at the front line. I want to be where the need is greatest. I want to help the kids who need it most. That's what's one of the magical elements of these renewal schools, the commitment of our teachers to taking them to the next level. And this last point, this is a very big one. During the last school year, almost 7 out of 10 renewal school families communicated with their child's teacher at least once a month, with more than half meeting the teachers in person. More parents are taking time out of a life that's, let's face it, probably quite filled with a challenging combination of work and childcare responsibilities and even possibly schooling of their own. But they're taking the time, they're giving more of themselves because they see something starting to work and because they're invited in to be a part of it. These parents understand what an incredible impact they can have on the life of their child if they participate more in the school, and it's working. With renewal schools, we're investing in places that obviously we're too often left behind. And we can say this about high schools all over the city, of every kind of high school. In too many of our high schools, and for too many of our students, the highest quality classes were beyond their reach. because they weren't even offered in the school building. Talk about a tale of two cities. Doesn't it speak volumes if the highest quality classes are available for some, and for others, literally, you couldn't get to it even if you were the most qualified student in the world? So we've set our sights on another extraordinary opportunity to propel our children down the road to college or a career. We know students who take advanced placement, or AP classes, are twice as likely to graduate college compared to those who don't. But while AP courses offer a path to excellence, our schools have historically fallen short of equity in the availability of those courses. Too many of our schools, especially in low-income neighborhoods, have offered few or no AP courses. Today, that ends. We are living up to the motto of equity and excellence by announcing AP for all. By 2020, a range of advanced placement classes will be available, not just for some students in some schools, but to every single student everywhere in this city. If a student has what it takes in any high school, anywhere in this city, by 2020, there will be at least 5 AP courses available to them at their school, and even more beyond their school if they need them. That is equity and excellence. And I want to take an opportunity at this moment to thank David Coleman, the President and Chief Executive Officer of the College Board, because the College Board has a particular commitment to helping students with disabilities and English language learners gain access to this college-level work. Let's thank him for the work the College Board is doing. Let's go back to our school day. And imagine we're at another school a few miles away. Now it's an 11th grader. The 11th grader sits with 3 classmates. They're all intently staring at a computer monitor. It's glowing a few inches in front of them, and several other teams of students are around the classroom doing the same thing. A lot of energy, a lot of excitement in the room. On the screen, blocks of color are tumbling across the screen. It looks pretty basic, but actually, it's the opening part of a computer game that our 11th graders team has spent the entire day building and coding. Now, our 11th grader holds her breath as she waits for the final color block to fall into place. And it does. She and her teammates erupt into laughs and high fives. It's a triumphant moment. Today, you don't see this scene very often in our public schools. Fewer than 5% of our students have an opportunity to learn computer science. Until recently, those who did have been clustered in just a few high-performing high schools. And when you do find students in computer class, they're learning word processing or typing when they should be learning how to code. The reality today is not excellence and equity, let's be clear. And that's a reality we have to change. Think about the world we live in now. Hundreds of thousands of good jobs will be accessible to those with coding and other essential skills. These jobs also demand the subtler qualities that are cultivated by computer science learning, qualities like teamwork, problem solving, critical thinking, and creativity. We're not just teaching the narrow skills that will get our young people to good lifelong careers, we're teaching them a way of thinking that fits the challenges of the modern world. And that is why today we're proud to announce a new initiative, Computer Science for All. We will provide a computer science education to every single public school student in New York City in the next 10 years. Every single student. Computer Science for All is a historic public-private partnership, $81 million partnership, and I'm very grateful to the leadership of CSNYC, an organization led by the entrepreneur Fred Wilson, who's here with us today, singularly devoted to this mission. Thank you, Fred. Thanks to Fred and our inaugural partners, the Robin Hood Foundation and the AOL Charitable Foundation, every city dollar will be matched with one from the private sector. And this will be, yes, we like that. This will ultimately be the nation's largest effort to expand computer science education for our children. We will lead the nation in teaching our children the skills they need for the 21st century economy. In 10 years, we'll be the largest school district in the nation to provide computer science to every elementary, middle, and high school student. And there's more, and I want to thank Speaker Melissa Marks Viverito and the City Council, because they're going to take us even farther. They're making additional investments to give schools in underserved communities the resources they need to integrate even more technology into classrooms. Through a collaboration with the Department of Education and the Center for Technology and School Change at Teachers College, with the help of the City Council and its leadership, schools will get the technology training and support they need for our kids to learn better. Something big is happening, and all these pieces will help to grow a whole new reality for our city. Computer Science for All shows the extraordinary power of the private sector to help our children on their road to a career. The city's businesses are also stepping up as part of an effort to give 100,000 kids a year, 100,000 young people a year, internships or mentorships or summer jobs by 2020. We want at least 100,000 kids each year to have one of those tremendous tools helping them forward. And within that 100,000, every single one of our most vulnerable children in foster homes and homeless shelters will get an internship, a mentorship, or a summer job. If you had to choose two words to typify what that means, just two words, you might say equity and excellence. Let's go back one last time to the day in the life of our students. The night passes. The sun rises behind the skyline. And in our story, it's 8 a.m. A high school senior grabs her buzzing phone off the kitchen table. It's lighting up with text messages from her mother, her single shepherd, the manager at the internship she just finished. And all the messages are variations on one theme: go get 'em. Our student takes a deep breath. She catches the elevator right before the doors close. She's on her way out the door for a college interview. This, of course, isn't where the story ends. We've done right by her by instilling not just the knowledge she needs, but confidence and belief in herself. We've given her the tools. We've created in her a true sense of hope. That's how education in New York City has to work. That's how it will work. In other words, we must show each of our kids we believe in them. We believe in their ability to excel. And we must give our children, all our children, the opportunity to show us we were right. Thank you. God bless you all.